So we're holding over here that Elikai is Kelo both Pirushim. Two Inyanim Hafachim. One of the Elikai is Miloshin Keach. And the Nakud of Keach is not an Inyan which comes from the Makar, mitzad the Tnu of Gili of the Makar, but an Inyan which is mitzad the fact, mitzad is Almas HaMakar. The whole function of Keach is Neveh mitzad the Tnu of that the Makar is Na'ifin of Helam, which we'll see later. It's not just that Keach is Inyan Mitzumsum, and therefore it's less Meir the Milas Helyan. Then it's not opposite. Opposite means that it's a opposite focused. Inyan of Keach is not the Tnu of his Galus HaMakar, but the Tnu of that the Makar is pearl in a way of his almos dafke, of hiding himself, of blocking himself from the Ashpa. Mashiach is opposite. Opposite Inyan. Is Inyan Gili HaMakar. So Lamer Zem, we're halten by the Inyan of. So the Rebbe says in order to explain the Mile of Keach, the fact that the Lekai is Kelo both Inyan is because there's a mile in both. There's a mile in and there's a mile in Keach. So therefore, the Tevis Lekai is Kelo both in Yonim, that in Elokus you have both miles, side the mile of and side the mile of Keach. So now, in order to understand the mile of Keach, the Rebbe's first Makdim, there's the Inyan of V'Shem. And the Musik of Shem is also said the Gabi Malchus, because the Yachas of the Anshe Medina to the Melech is that Shmei Nikra Aleim. It's not that the Anshe Medina, the Am, contains within themselves, they don't have a Shaykhis to the Mehusa Melech. The relation between the Melech to the Am is, what exists from the Melech and the Am is only the Shem HaMelech, that they belong to him. Shmei Nikra Aleim, it's his Malchus. And in order to understand the Ma'il of Keach, we have to first explain the Ma'il of Shem. From understanding the Ma'il of Shem, we'll understand the Ma'il of Keach. That's the... So Lamer Halten Dov, and get to Eir, Lamer Zen. I don't know exactly which word we started, but Yesh Hefresh ben Eir l'Shem. Eir hu Gili, hu betvekas nekeres. Eir in Yoni is the Gili HaMakar, the Rebbe is going to be mefared. It means that the in Yoni of Eir is that through the Eir, the Makar is Nizgale. The Makar becomes visible and open and aware of. And the Eir is Bidvekus Nekeres. That means his whole Metzias is that it doesn't have an independent, there's no identity in Eir. Dvekus Nekeres is, it is Metzias, Begoli is Dvekus. And the Nekuda of Dvekus is, it doesn't have an independent, identity outside of the fact that the Makar is Nizgale. It's not a Dover Haba Min HaMakar. Shame is a certain inyan which comes from the Makar. So it's also Davik, which we'll see later, but it's Bidvekus built in Nekeres. That means that the Metzias Hashem is not Vekas. There's an inyan, a Metzias, which stems from the Makar. You have Seichel and Midas. So Midas stem, you have a Makar which from the Makar initiates something. The Makar is a Makar for a Metzias. Then the content, there's the Makar, and then there's a Metzias which comes from the Makar. That's not Vekas. The Vekas means that the Metzias which comes from the Makar doesn't have its own inyan. It's Davik, it's one, it has no independent identity outside of the Makar. That's the Vekas. So Eir is not a Metzias vasvert from the Makar. The Nukud of Eir is that the Makar is Nizgala. There's nothing here besides for the Makar itself. What is Eir? The Izgalus HaMakar. That the Makar is open. The Makar is mispashet. Oh, so that's it on the Rebbe. The Eir Megale is HaMoir. Wo zet man das? Sharei ba'Eir Niker begili mo Eir HaNer, Eir HaErech, Eir HaShemesh, Eir HaYem. If you look at the Eir, it's Niker, means it's visible. It's not that you have to, there's one Eifin is in everything, any Metzias which comes from a Makar, through being Ma'ayin and the Metzias which comes, you'll be able to identify certain tchunis in the thing which related to the Makar. You say Seichel is a Makar from Midas. So in the Midah, you're going to be able to tell the Seichel which was made of the Midah. If it's a Midah of Ava, so you're able to tell that the Makar is a Makar which was being misbein in the Teiv of the Inyan. But that's not the Nishdas that the Rebbe does. Midas is a Metzias of Pnei Atzmam. You're able to tell in everything the Makar where it came from. That's something else. Here the Rebbe is saying, when you look at Eir, you look at the Eir which is mispashet, let's say from the Ner, it's Nikir Begilei that it's the Ner is being mispashet. Why? Because the Eir is not another Metzias which comes from the Ner. If it was another Metzias, so you could look at the Metzias and not be aware of the Makar which is the Makar of this Metzias. But Eir, it's not shaykh to say that you should see the Metzias and not recognize, not see the Makar, because there is no Metzias which came from the Makar. The whole Metzias is the Hizgalus of the Makar. So for what is Eir? The Hizgalus HaMakar. So when you see the Eir, automatically you see the Makar, which is being Hizgal in this Eir. So when you see the light of a candle, right away you see that there's a candle here, which it's being mispashtus. The light is its mispashtus. Oh, there's Eir HaErech, Eir HaShemesh. Yeah, Eir HaYem. I'm not sure what Eir HaErech and Eir HaShemesh and Eir HaYem, but that's Nachayinyin. Yeah, we know of Eir HaShemesh. Exactly what's Eir HaYem. There's no light of the day outside of the light of the sun. But this is a the parsha. Oh, so what's the pshatak about Eir Nikr Begili? It's not through being misbeinen in the Eir. What is er? Er is the makir being nizgala. So it's not something. There's no two things. There's no something which comes from a makir. There is no something. It's the makir being nizgala. So when you see the gili, you see right away the makir, because this is the whole mitzvah gili. This gala some makir. The fee was Shabbat. Where does it say here? Shvisha hamoyer will be gili. Within the the makir is bizgalas. Yeah. Kumeisha atzmi who gili the same with the itself. Is not a mitzias was vert from the makir, but it's the gili. The makir is fully open and visible in the air because the whole mitzias is this galas hamakir. Hinikein who gam pulas ibadavar amur. You have in every Indian you have the mashpia, you have the makir, you have the ashpa. What you say emanates from the makir, and you have the mekabel, which is mekabel the ashpa, or which is affected by the ashpa. The makir, the Indian which comes from the makir, and the way this Indian is nirgash by mekabel. So the Rebbe is saying in Legabi there's never a tnua of removing yourself from the makir. Other than you have seichel amidas, let's say. So you have, let's say, the seichel is the makir from midas, and then Legabi, since someone's in with amidas ava, so the result is going to be that an ani is going to be mekabel tzedakah from him. So the ani which is mekabel tzedakah is not necessarily going to be aware of, or it's not nirgash there that it comes from a seichel. For him, what he's margish is a kind person which he gave me a pruta, because the chatchila from man stammt is because the chatchila the ashpa comes in a way that there's a removing itself from the makir itself. There's the makir. For the makir comes a certain Indian, and that Indian has an effect on a mekabel. So it's possible for the mekabel to be margish the Indian, but not being margish the makir of the Indian. Mashenkin ba'er, there is no mitzias outside of the makir being nizgala. So when the air is nirgash by a mekabel, when the makim is becoming more idea air, there's the shemesh is a source, the resource darton of light. Then this source could be an aifin of etzim, be an aifin of makir, which is higher than gilui. Gilui means that already the Indian is felt and is nirgash. It's nizgala. It's open. If it's open, it means that there's some type of. It was already. It came into some form of expression. The etzim itself is beyond expression. It's the etzim Indian beyond any aifin of expression. So you have and then you have the way the expression is nirgash by mekabel. So in every tnua there's always nirgash that it's the makir. That's what the Rebbe says here. Gam pulas badavar hamur meir. Shebadavar hamur mimenu nikir umumur meir aner. There's a different nature. The way the neir is meir the Indian, the way the shemesh is meir the Indian, and snicker right away. If you look at the makim, which is becoming more there, you're able to tell it's recognizable in the thing itself. That's Hashemesh is gemachlift. Because there's never a tnu of yitzim and a makir. It's not the makir the way it's giving space to an Indian. It's always the makir's izgalas. So there's never a tnua, even when it comes to the state of being nirgash in the makabel, it's always meir begali that it's the makir being nizgali here. It's the makir affecting. Because there's no tnua of yitzia, of mitzias outside of the makir itself. So that's when you get to Er Lamata. So in andere Werte, what is Er Lamata? Er Lamata is stammt from them that Er is Gilu. Er is that it reveals its makir. It's the izgalus of the makir. And that's, so what, was for that tnua, from which tnua in the makir does the Er come from? It comes mitzad them, it's not that there's one state, the makir is, there's his Indian, and now something being mispashas from it, it's being a source of something else. It's giving space for another. Seichel is there's the content of Seichel itself. Then there's the fact that Seichel is Mechayiv Amida. It's two separate inyan. There's the etzim inyan of Seichel. And then there's Seichel being a makir for a regesh. It's not chazah. But it's not that there's the makir and then there's giving space for expression. It's always the makir. It's the makir expressed. It's the makir being nizgal. So there's no nisinas makir now for him. It's not that there's the makir, his inyan, and then there is giving this being a makir for something else. The whole tunu of Eir is the makir's nizgalus. The makar and being mispash. Salder salamal is alvazach. Kumekin who gam in the mailo shubchinas gilu. Erum ein amar. So first of all, from the air, this the air the key is me'ain the etzim of the Eibishter. That means through the air is the etzim is this gal. That's the pshat gilu. Gilu means that it's his galus of not another mitzias is vert for him, but the galus of the makar. And if you say that air is gilu makar, what does that mean? That what's the pshat er? Gilei makir. What does that mean? That the makir is bizgalus. That means that the makir is atzmos. That means that atzmos is in a state of gilei. And from dort stammt in er. Where does er stem from? Where does in a gilei come from? That the makir is in a state of openness, in a state of bizgalus. Meret lamayla was meant is that in atzmos olukus there's the aspect that is in a state of bizgalus.
It's pula in mekabel another step, or
everything. There's the pile, there's the etzem in of air, and then there's the fact that it's the etzem tnua that it's mispashit, and then the way it affects a makabel. Verstehe, but the pile, the makabel is being margish this air. Good, it's all one tnua. Verstehe, instead of saying begili, it's not. Oh, this is negate this word. I mean, let's see what the Rebbe says here. Eiru mein amor, number zen. We say them so not sure. Later, who lerek mein amor, elo gam mein hanan shva asmish eiru b'chinas amor. Yeah, the Rebbe goes through. In other words, amazot mein amor. What says from vanich. In other words, like this: if you say that was a mitzias that comes from the makir, so it's shaykh to say that atzmas has you say a nivra lamata, say a nivra mugbal. So it's seichos mechayv amida. So from seichel comes a midah sahaba. So you say that seichel could only be a makir for a midah if seichel has a shaykhos to midas. If seichel is totally mushas from midas, but a midah is coming from him. But the Gabi Eibisher, let's say, if the Nukud of was a Metzias was vert from the Eibisher and was vert from the Metzim, you see the Atmos is mufshit from the whole Geder of He's beyond the whole concept of his Galus. But from him, anything could come from him. The Eibisher is not Mukbal, anything could come from him. So the Indian of Midas could also, even though he's not in the form of having a Shaykhas to Midas, he's mufshit betachlis, but it's not Shaykh to say that a Midah, that something cannot come from the Eibisher. Anything can come from him. He's not Mukbal in anything. But here we want to say, so here we're saying that what is Eir? Eir is not something which comes from the Makir. It's the fact that the Makir is not Tnu of Gilu, that the Makir is Bezgalus. That means that the Tnu of Eir, Heipzichan and Atzvus. That Eir comes from the fact that Atzvus is also a Makir, is also a Moir. If I state the meaning. If Eir was something which comes, so you can say that the Makir is totally mufshit from this Teitzah. The Makir is Pasha B'Tavas Abshittis. But since the Eibush is beyond saying any definition, anything could come from it. But if you're saying that what's Eir? Eir is not a Metzias was vert from etzem. Eir is this galus hamakir, that the makir is begilu. That means that the makir, which is etzem, has this inyan within himself that he's begilu.
Eir lamata doesn't have it. It's not the same thing as Eir lamata. Eir lamata, Eir mein amor, but it has the inyan of hisabus also.
Balzen. We're going to see that it's going to go through. No. Balzen dinyan. So what's the pshat? From Vanet, so in the marshal tactic, from Vanet kumtis the tnu of gilui. What's the pshat? You have certain. Certain inyanim, certain things don't have the quality of mar, and certain things do contain the quality of mar. The meaning of mar is this music of Ermein Amar that you have this galus hamakir. We don't have that in every type of makir and ashpa. You have it in Eir Hashemesh Lamata and Eir Hanevesh Lamata. The zgula of a mar is a specific inyan that not every makir has. What's the zgula of the nekuda of mar? You have the marshal pashtus. So you have the Chassidus brings a dugma of Eir Sheva just to bring out this point. You have the marshal. You say just to bring out this nikud like this. Let's say a Rav is mashpia seichot haTalmud. So you have the Rav is meach is a higher level than the Talmud's meach. The Rav is let's say chavesa edel meach. The Talmud's level is the Talmud has a meach a nidriker darga for meach. So now the Rav versteht the gewisse. He understands a certain svara. The way the Rav, since the Rav has a meach dak, so he understands the dak saying the emek inyan. Is the shaykh to say that since you have the inyan, the way it's moving in seichel Rav, automatically you'll be mispashed that the Talmud will also understand it. So since you have the inyan the way it is in the meach Rav, it's not b'meila. The inyan the way it is in meich Rav is an edel svara, and the Talmud is not a keli to an edel svara. In order to explain this idea to the Talmud, you'll have to be mitzamtzimit. You'll have to be masberet in a way that relates to the Talmud. You're going to have to create that the svara should suit the Talmud. It's not that when you have it the way it is in the Rav state, automatically it's going to be nirgash by the Talmud. It's in Shaykh Hazagin it means every Indian is mugbo and it's tchum, and you have the Rav has the seichel the way it is by the Rav is an edel svara. An edel svara has a great mile, but it has the chisaron that it can't be meir, it can't be nirgash by a Talmud which does not have a mayach dak. The Rav is going to have to be mitzamtzim in the svara. Eir Hashem also should have been the same thing. The way it is by the Shemesh is a mocker for Eir. Always the makir has the inyan in a higher eifin than gilui. Gilui is that the inyan is already being expressed. If something's being expressed, that has to have some type of form, some type of metzias. It's nitfas. It's being expressed. It's being nirgash. The etzem has the nukud of beyond an expression. It's the source of it. It's the etzem in an the way it's beyond a specific form of expression. So the makir is a higher form of having light than the way it is begilui. So the chore what Gadar Zayin that the makir, in order for the way it is in the makir to be made and vel, to be expressed, it should have to go through a tzimtzum. It should have to be mitzamtzum itself, and to lower the energy of light, that it should be masim to a form of expression. We say that to then it wouldn't be If it would be that the inyan, the way it is in the makar, is in a higher level, and in order for the inyan to, let's say the inyan, the way it is in the makar, is beyond expression, and in order for the to come to a level of there should be in a way of expression, a way of gilui, it has to be mitzumtzum, then the would be another mitzias outside of the mar. The same you say is Seichel Rav and Seichel Talmud. The idea, the way it's understood by the Rav, the idea, the way it's understood by the Talmud, is not the same idea the way it is by the Rav. Now you have two versions of this svara. You have the svara the way the Rav understands it, and you have the svara the way the Talmud understands it. Then it's not Mein Amor. Then it's not that the svara of Talmud is the Isgalus of the Seichel Rav. Isgalus means that there's no other mitzvahs outside of the fact that the Seichel Harav is being mispashit. It's his Isgalus. It's not his Isgalus. It's this in a lower version. In a mitzumtzum dekaif. It's not his Isgalus. It's another version of the inyan. So you have certain inyanim that even though they're an etzem, means they're beyond expression, but they're not mukbal to be dafka in a way of etzem, or beyond expression. They have the mohos not in a limited way. Therefore, they could automatically be expressed also. That's the zgula of mar. It's a certain, say, an akud of hedrak bala which the makar contains. Or certain hedrak bala that he's not limited to have his energy, let's say, to have his quality. Only in an edela form or in an etzemdika form, he's not limited to be dafka in etzemdika form. He could be mela also be erkenstein be his galus. He could be in his galus. His inyan is not contained only in a form of etzem. Erkenstein be his galus. That's a certain zgula, that's a certain mile. So, from Vanach stammed the fact that is gili amakar. What does it mean gili amakar? That the makar is naif of gili. Where does that stem from? So it's a true in the makar. That the makar is in a true of gili. That he's a mar. So al derez, if you say you have the inyan of lamayla, what's the pshat inyan of that the makar is his galus? That means that you have this inyan in atzmos. That atzmos is a makar. That atzmos is a mar. That that steht begili. Steht bis galus. Und von dort stammt in der You understand what I'm saying? You can't say that the etzem is mufshat the gamir from everything. Svert von emagili. What do you mean svert von emagili? The whole pshat of gili is that the makar is open. So it stems from that atzmos is naifin of a mar. So in etzem there's the tnua that is not mukbal tidafka naifin of etzem. Merkaneicha shtein begili. So for the fact that there's a musik of means that in the makar there's this tnua that the makar state is galus. That he's in a way of, even though he's an etzem, he's also an eifin that is mispashit. Now, so that's for sure that in the lemaila it's meir the fact that the etzem is a makar. You say mein amar. Through the is this galus a makar. Which aspect of atzmos is meir in there? It's meir that the fact that the Eibusher is a makar. This inyan in etzem that he's bichoted to be begilui, that inyan is gal in That's where stems from. That's where comes from. The tnu and etzem that is naifin of gilui. But the shaila is there's other inyanim in atzmos that have nothing to do with the fact that not the tnu is hagilu in etzem. Like you say, this is the mashal when you get to Eir HaShemesh has this aspect when it comes to light. So the Eir HaShemesh is the makar for he's the etzem of but he has not in a limited form. The is also mispashal. But so legabit in there, you have this smile where the makar is not limited to be dafka in a way of etzem. But you have other aspects in the shemesh, for example. The shemesh that Rambam says has a deep havana of asag and olukus. Are you going to say there that nikud in the air that's also mispashit in the air? The fact that the shemesh has havana of asag and olukus, that's not mispashit. And that's not that inyan of the Hashem, the havana of asag. There's no mile of his galus. So that inyan taka, the air doesn't stem from that inyan. The air doesn't. The fact that the makar is mispashit is because there's an inyan in the makar. A certain mile that he can be mispashit. That inyan is a mile in the inyan of air. But in the inyan, the fact that the shemesh has a savan of asag and olukus, there's no mile of his galus. And that tnu is shtetish business. That's not in a gili. That tnu has nothing to do with gili. And that taka shtetish business galus. That's their own personal havana. So then, speaking to get to atzmos, the fact that there's a musik of air comes from the fact that the makar is not tnu of gili, is galus hamakar. But which aspect of the makar is the air does the air stem from? The air stems from the fact that the etzem also has the mile of mar. He has this virtue that he's not only in himself, that inyan the air is megal. The fact that the etzem kanech shtein beis galus, but the fact that atzmos is other inyanim and atzmos, that he's built to mitzias nimtz or other says ain't safe inyanim and atzmos. That's not that nish von dort stammt in the air. Not the fact that the Eibusher has this mile that he can be beis galus. Other inyanim that the Eibusher has. He can be mahava yesh ma'ayin be'efes hamuchot. Other inyanim and atzmos. So that should not be reflected in the air because the air doesn't stem from there. The air stems. What's air? Gilei hamakar. Which tnu in the makar is that the makir is bezgalus. But the aspect, that you say, the nekudas and atzmus has nothing to do with the inyan agili shabbat, other inyan. So that luchur is not reflected in the air. So if them zok the Rebbe, that's nicht das. That was it.
He's missing the gilui and therefore it has to come up as galus. These inyanim.
I don't get what you're saying.
These different inyanim, they can't be with galus.
It's not a shalom, they can't. It's not, their inyan is not, is because that the makir is bezgalus. So the earth stems because there's an inyan in the makar which in Yoni is Lizgalus. These it could have of the fact that the Eibishter is ainly Ili V'Siba Shekot Mele. That's in Yoni is not Gili. In Yoni is not that the makar is not to know Lizgalus. Nish das der inyan. It's another inyan. They're not. That's something else. They're not limited in anything. We'll see later. The Atzmos is not limited in. If you speak Lamata in the Mashal, so if the Shemesh would not have this Trua as a Shteit Begili, there wouldn't be in the makar of being open. So there wouldn't be the in of air. Stems from the fact that the makar is bezgalus. Those in Yanim and Shemesh have nothing to do with Gili. His own personal Yanim, nothing to do, not the qualities of being Begili. Another Yanim. So that's Takanam Espashit.
So is it the full makar bezgalus?
It's not, the Yanim and the Shemesh are not shachas to Gili, Takanam bezgalus. Only the in of air is Begili. That's not what I'm saying is, what the Rebbe sagte. Mein Amar, so from the is kentig the Mar. We say them is okay, ich habe das Marketing given, but the Rebbe wants to bring out it's the mile of So the is the Hisgalus HaMakir. We say them is not only Sha'ir Ulerek Mein Amar, not only the through Vert Hisgal, the fact that the Eibishter is Amar means that aspect in the Makir, which the Makir is Hisgalus. That the fact that the Eibishter has this the mile as a kenshtin begilui, that he's not mubal to dafkin even if it's kenshtin begilui. That's this gal in air. Gam me'ein hanyan sheba'atzmos she'eini b'chinas mar. Also those nyanim and atzmos which the gabi them being begilui is not an inyan. It's not there's no inyan of being this gal. See, that doesn't because the Eibishter is not mubal, anything can be begilui. That since he's not mubal, anything can come begilui. Nish begin the menetza. But then the fact that he's begilui is not because it's not neveim, it's the fact that the makar is bezgalus. Here the Rebbe is saying that the stems from the fact that the makar, that there's this inyan of gilui. There's inyan of that the makar steht in the trunuf in his galus. That inyan, that is a mailu, that the makar steht in the trunuf in his galus, that's one inyan. Then there's other inyanim and asmas which legabi them, the inyan of the makar being bezgalus is not an inyan legabi them. Mir versteht das inyan? Lass uns sehen, was da steht. Let's see a few aces will be a little bit more. It's like this. Hine les zeu ikra lukus masha ilmes meshaven miben. V'yeshnam kama v'kama inyanim ba'atzmas adin seif. V'chol inyanim elu nimshachim gam ber. Is the lashon that Rebbe says in the Torah that les zeu ikra lukus masha ilmes meshaven miben. That you say the Eibishter is buried elements by Nivraim. So the greatest mile that can be metayr is the fact that the Eibishter is able to have a yeshmayim. A nivra can't be mahava yeshmayim. Mashiach the Eibishter is biyacholti l'havas yeshmayim. So the gabi nivraim, it's a gedula nefla, being able to be mahava yeshmayim. But that's only the gabi nivraim it's a ma'ir. The gabi the Eibishter being mahava nicht in them, that doesn't express his gadlus. Nicht in them besteht sein Greiskeit. The amitis in and ain't safe the gabi our masagim. So the ultimate what a nivra is able to be messiah blik vol is that he's not limited. He's able to create something from nothing. That's from our point of view. That's the ultimate where a nivra is able to be Meshayr, what's Blik Vol. But the Gabi Damita saying so, being Mahava Yeshma'ayin doesn't express at all Damita saying so. So there are derech, like you say, when you get to the Ataras Lashon and look at the Torah. Lei zeu ikra lukus. Nicht in them bringt Tzchareis, der Eibishter is godless in them, as I can bashafen Yeshma'ayin. The true musik of Ein Seif is beyond being expressed in this true prat as being Mahava Yeshma'ayin. So there's a mile of Moir. What's the mile of Moir? That a makar is not mukbal. That's the mile of Moir. What's the mile of what's the nukuda of Moir? That the makar is not limited to be dafkin or eifin of etz. That's a certain tnu of not being mukbal. Most in most inyanim besides for shemesh and nefesh. In most inyanim in Ephraim, the makar only contains its resource, its energy only in a mukbal geif. Mashiach Amar means that he has his resource not in a limited. He's not mukbal that he has to be dafkan eifin of etz. So nicht in dem besteht the ultimate musik of the Eibishter's mind. The Eibishter's amitas ain't safe. And legabi him Moir leizeu ikar alakus mashahu Moir. The fact that it's blik vol. There's a certain, you say, mile of bleak vol, which is expressed in the fact of being a Moir, but nicht in dem besteht, damit es ein Self of Atzmus. So there's many other Inyanim in Atzmus, outside of the fact of Makar being Begili. And Shalei Be'erach higher than the idea of bleak vol, which is expressed in the Inyan of Moir. The Inyan of Moir expresses a certain bleak vol of the Makar, but that doesn't, nicht in dem besteht, and was besteht Atzmus, that he's mugbal, which is expressed in the fact that he's able to be Meir, be able to be Misfach. That his Inyan is not mugbal to Nuah Besim. There's Inyanim Nefloim Adin Kates. Shalei Be'erach higher than the mile of Makar, which Atzmus contains. And the Eibush is Nesa Akal. Any form of mile that could be in a Makar, the Eibush is Kelel. Inyanim in a Makar, which Shalei Be'erach higher than the fact that a Makar could be begun. But the Chorah, the Inyan Ha'er, doesn't come from there. From wann stammt the Inyan Ha'er? The Inyan Ha'er is there from the fact that Atzmus contains the mile of Mar. You can't say that, what I'm saying is, you say that Etzem has nothing to do with the Legabe Atzmus, Mar is not an Inyan. He's not a Mar. It means the idea of being Nisgale, that, let's say, Musig, let's call it Bleak Vol for now, but this Inyan of Bleak Vol is not an Inyan Legabe him. He's not Bleak Vol, he's beyond Bleak Vol. So from Mana stammt comes from the fact, Gili comes from the fact that the Makar is not true of his Galus. That means you have the Inyan of Bleak Vol the way it is in Atzmus. But nicht in dem besteht was Etzem is. There's Nyonim Neflaim Adin Kate, which have nothing to do with the Inyan of Gili. The same way we say when you get to the Shemesh. Why is the fact that the Shemesh understands Zechveis or is Meshaber to the Eibusher, why is that not be Gili? Because the Gabi, that Inyan, Gili is not a Maila. There, the Musig of not being Mugbal is not a Maila, the Gabi, that Inyan. The Musig of not being Mugbal is a Maila. It's not a Maila, the Inyan of it's a Sahavan of Asagat Alakus. I'm saying, so the Inyan of Gilui, that Tnu is not connected to the Musig of Gilui. So there is, if you go to Erla Maila, from Vanen stammt Inyan Ha'er, that the Mokin is Bizgalos, that comes from the fact that Atzmus is a Moir. He has the Inyan of Bleak Vol. From Mitzad, the fact that he has the Inyan of Bleak Vol, he's not only Neifin of Etzem, he's also Neifin of Gilui. So that's the Inyan of Bleak Vol, let's say, the Inyan of Moir Shabai, that's Nizgala through Er. But other aspects in Atzmus, the fact that the Eibusher is built in Mitzias Nimsa, or the fact that the Eibusher is Ainli Ilav V'Siva Shekad Malek, that he's beyond any form of, he's not connected to any Inyan. So he's not connected to any Inyan, and what does it do with Gili? Why would Inyan Gili? The Musik of Gili also is he's not connected to the Musik of Gili either. Let's say you say the Atzmas is Shlilas Kol HaTayr. You can't say any Inyanim Legabi. There's only him. There's no ideas. There's no Inyanim. There's no Milas. So for that Inyan has something to do with Gili. That's not going to be a source of Gili. It's the Inyan. Its Inyan is not the Makar being Begili. Legabi that aspect of Atzmas not being limited in any Inyan, Gili is not an Inyan. If I state the Inyan.
That's the problem that Rebbe's going to do.
Oh, so the Rebbe says here, that's what the Rebbe says. Hine, Leizel, we call it because Mashiach Masavim. And Mela, what the Rebbe means over here is that there's Leizel, Ikara, Atzmos, Mashu Moir. The Yeshnam Kam, the Kam Inyanim, but Atzmos, Adin Seif. V'chol Inyanim Elu Nimshachim Gam Ba'er. Atvet Nimshachan Er. But the Rebbe is Mechalik, even though everything is Nimshachan Er, Inyani of Er is, Inyani Ikri of Er is, this galus of the aspect that Atzmus is a Moir. It's very important. And it means, where does Er stem from? Er stems from the fact that Etzem is a Moir. But after they can't outfit this gal in Er, we're going to see soon. But from Vanen stammt in Er, from the fact that the Mokir is in the Tnu of Gilui, that's where Er comes from. The Mokir in the Tnu of Gilui is because Legabi the Mokir, Gilui is an Inyan. Gilui is there's an Inyan of the Mokir being Bizgalus. That's the Inyan of Moir. But then there's other Inyanim and Atzmas, which Legabi them, the whole idea of Gilui doesn't exist. So you can say so from that Inyan, you have to Shvern Er. The whole Musik of Gilui doesn't exist Legabi that Inyan. So then sagt der Rebbe weiter da, it says, also Timshachan Er. Okay, this line, we'll see what's the Barak Hasher Kach, Ole Berseni is Barech, Hasher Shari, Inyanim, Yu, Behelim, Behester Be'er. Barak Inyan Er, Vagili, Yi, Vegili. Al Behelim, Yeshne, Bekol Inyanim. Saying the portion of the Pirush Shemos that it says over here is, that Be'etzem means the Eibush is not movable in anything. So Be'etzem, anything could have been his Gal in there. All Inyanim of Atzis could have been an Eifin of Gili. Ole Berseni that the Inyan Hamor should be Begili. Means the Inyan Hagili, the Inyan Ha'er, the fact that the Atzmas has the Zgula of being Meir, that should be Nizgal in Er, and the other qualities of Atzmas should be Behel. It sounds like Be'etzem Er doesn't relate to the Musig of Meir, more to the other Musig. That's the Lashon that the Rebbe says here. Be'etzem, the Inyan Ha'er doesn't relate to the fact that Atzmas is a Makir. Means, what is Er Megala? That in Etzem there's the mile of being Bizgalas. That the Eibishter has this quality to be Bezgalus. So the Rebbe sounds like is Be'etzem wollte gekennst sein that all the inyanim of that shouldn't be connected after to the musik of Gilui. In Atzas Nimshach. All the inyanim in Atzas. Kach ole b'rtzoini that the musik of v'gilui, that should be his mitzias, that should be Gilui. Means that the fact that the Atzmas is a mocker, that should be his Indian to be megal of that aspect. And the other inyanim should be hidden, should be behelim, not the mitzias of what it is. You verstehe the meaning. But it's not stam as a kach ole b'rtzoini. You'll see in a line further. It's not stam kach ole b'rtzoini.
Is it also?
I just want to explain this point. If I state the Bissel Dominion, it's not stam as a kach ole b'rtzoini like that. In other words, you have this a little bit in the Aron Tashmim Zayin, but the Nekulas Advarim is that as if by Nivraim we have this what's the musik of it? Gili Amakir. Gili Amakir can only come if there's like so that's because the Makir Gili is an Indian like the Makir. If I was saying before, like I say, Dartim with the Indian Gili is not a mile, so the Makir doesn't contain the quality of Gili. You can see Legabi Atzmas coming to Shvegin Keshaylis, even though he's beyond the whole musik of and Legabi him being Bizgalus is not an Indian at all, still there's Indian of As the Shkach all over. But that's in the Shvegin Keshaylis that should stem dafka from the Indian Amor Shabbatzmas. Dafka from the Indian Amor. Legabi there's no questions at all. The fact that comes from Amor, and what is and that's the Chorah Davar Mukhrach. Means the Izgalus Amakir. So that comes from the fact that the Makir is a Tnu of Gilui. Yeah. From where does it come from? The fact that the Makir is not Tnu of Gilui. The fact that so that's the Makir in a certain mode. The fact that he's a Makir the Gilui. The aspect of the Makir which is not connected to Gilui, from Dortmund kommt nicht her. That's all in Evrahim can sagen as Amos says. The guy with the Eibishter is beyond the whole system. He created the whole system. So this idea that is mechayev, that he should be a Mair, that the Makir is Bezgalos, who said it's Mukhrach? It's not. But what's Oliver saying?
That there should be that is what is.
Oliver saying that should be in the eifin that should come by eifin of mein amor. Means that it should be moving up Yiseichel.
Once you have that's what has to be.
No,
that is the
that's
whole
not what
word.
I'm saying. No. When you have
there should be
no. The be'etzem there's no
Meaning
kashas.
that there should be
That the should be in the eifin that it should be up Yiseichel in of The Indian of al Yiseichel is that it's nimshach from the fact that the Makir is bizgalos. The kavana al yena is that the shouldn't come mitzad hedra, mitzad the higher than say higher than Seder Shalosh. It should be according to the Gdarim of the Mitzias of The Gedra lamata is stems from the fact that the Makir is bizgalos, and Azam cert even soll sein lamayla. So it can't sein anders. They is not mukbal in any club. But the kavana al yena is that the Indian lamayla should be mitzad the Gdarim of And the Gdarim of is, the way the Eibishter created the Gdarim of is that it's neveh mitzad the fact of the Makir. That's the Azay Fashtamer the Musik verse. The Kavan al Yena is that the Lamada should be nimshach, also on a eifin of that it should be api Seder, api Gidra Mitzis. Api Gidra Mitzis, the Tnu of stems from the fact that the Makir is an eifin of his, in a Tnu of his Galus. We'll see that. So that's already, but what for a different reason. In Yan, stems from the fact that the Makir is Biz Galus. That means comes from the Tnu of Moir. Eba Zay, why does Taka of everything? It doesn't Balzen. But I think this line is in a way. It says, "Kol inyan Elul Mishachem Gam Be'er, rak asher kach ole berseni yisbarach asher shari inyanim yu behelam v'hester, rak inin ha'er v'agili yi b'begili." But what do you mean? Is the gili. But all the gedarim are nischat and say their shashlis. All is up yisech. So it can sein ve'fen acher. The kavanah yena is that the inin ha'er should be in a eifin that the way it is mitzad gedarim of Seder Shalshlis. Mitzad gedarim of Seder Shalshlis, is nimshach from is Gili Hamor, which is nimshach from the aspect in the Mor that the Mor is in the Tnu of Gili, Tnu of his Galus, and not from the Makir the way he is not connected to the Tnu of his Galus. Ebazei, why are other inyanim nimshach in there? Why are all other qualities of Asus in Gal doesn't balz in? But you get where we're holding. Let me just read that pervert of nicht. Berayil is vui the ray that all inyanim on this galen you're tamal learn the inyanim. See, there's no some learn this. You learn tamal, not the Maamarim. I'm saying these inyanim. I'm just learn tamal. Okay. Berayil is meaning savas yishma'ayin. Berayil is meaning there means that all inyanim, all say qualities, so to speak, that Atzmas possesses. Ali Ifanim, Ali Nanim and Atzmus, Ver Nizgali in They come to, they're materialized and they're expressed in Alt. Wo sagt man das? Weil das mir ist, was ich mal ein, wo wir gesagt haben, steht in der Geschichte, mein Amor. So where's Alter Rebbe in time? Where's Alter Rebbe in time? The Eibishter, the Havas Hayesh. The Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad Mamash. The Eibishter created a Metzias which has no continuation to its source, to its mother. Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad. The Metzias Habriya is a Yesh which has no continuation to a mother. Anayazach. Doesn't express, doesn't have any, you can't trace it back to anything. A new thing, a new entity. Yesh Me'ayin, Ver Ken Mahavas and a Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad, only Atzmos, which he himself is not connected to any Ilu V'Siba. As is Alter Rebbe in time. To create a Zastert Nivra, which has no Ilu V'Siba, doesn't come in continuation to anything, could only be an Indian which also has no continuation to anything. Ainly Ilu V'Siba Shekad. Now, this Indian of the Atzmos is ainly Ilu V'Siba. Every other Metzias comes from somewhere. He's coming to express something. He's here, his Metzias exists because of a certain function. A Svara, with an Elam HaSeichel, you have a Svara. It means it comes in a continuation to something. In the world of emotions, you have an emotion of Chesed, an emotion of Yira. If there's no category of emotions at all, Kem Nishreit L'Chesed L'Gvura. So every Indian has an Ilah V'Siba Shekadmali. Its Metzias exists within a certain framework. Mashiach and the Eibishter is not only Ilah V'Siba Shekadmali. There's him. This Indian has an, so that's, this Indian is an Indian of Mar, the fact that he's Begili. That's a whole different Indian. The fact that only Ilah V'Siba Shekadmali. The fact that he's Begilui, the fact that Atzmos is Bizgalus, doesn't express this Indian and is not Neveya from this Indian. What stems from the fact that Atzmos is only Ilah V'Siba Shekadmali? What's going to express that? What stems from that? The Indian of Yishma'ayin expresses that, let's say. Which is, what's That the Makar is Begilui. So it's the fact that the Makar has a Tunu as a Gili. Not that the Makar is only Ilah V'Siba Shekadmali. What's up to Tam Ditzvei Zach? So, Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that this Havos is a Yidei B'Keach Atzmos. Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that this Havos, it's not again the Prati Advarim, but the Alter Rebbe says there that this Havos is not directly through Atzmos, but the Keach Atzmos is Nizgale in and through this Havos is through the Gili of the Keach Atzmos, through the So the Alter Rebbe says there's the Lashon Vur B'Geras HaKedesh. The reflects the Mar. That means that the Inyanim of the Mar, the is a reflection. His galus of the Mair. So lachein hu mahavi yesh ma'ayin ve'efes hamuchlet. The fact that this havos ayidei. So the shaila is how the Indian is havos sheba atzmos. Anyone said Indian amar sheba. You see that Rebbe's lashon here. Indian is havos sheba atzmos. Anyone said Indian amar sheba. From when stammt is the Eibishter's yachal havos? Because he's not mukbal to be an eifin of etzim. He could also be begili. Because the mockers, his havos stammt from the fact that in Elokus there's this gula of being bezgalus. Nicht von dort kommt in den Eishavas. In den Eishavas kommt mitzad Yesei Beire. It's another quality. The Eibishter has the mile of being a Beire, being Mahavi Yishmaim. And kommt doch nicht von dort. Is not never from the fact that Atzmos is a Beire. Is not a Davar Chodesh. Doesn't stem from the fact that the Eibishter is b'yacholti lahavis. Stems from the fact that the Eibishter is b'yacholti lahoyer, not the fact that yacholti lahavis. So what does express? The aspect of lahoyer which exists in Atzmos, not the aspect of creation which exists in Atzmos. And after became we say, mi kom gam in zen nimshach ba. And steht in der Gerse Kedish was because mein amar. But the shaila is mein amar, not mein ha'etzem which is not mar. What does mein amar mean? Is the fact that the makar is bezgalus. But his havas stamtach from them with the makar is bezhavas. The fact that the makar is a beide, not that the fact that the makar is begilu. What's with mein amar? That the is his galus of the makar. The makar bezgalus. But his havas comes from the fact that the makar is a begili. His havas comes from the fact that the makar is a beire, that he creates, not the fact that the makar is begili. Not different through it. So which is neveya from the fact that the makar is a mar, vi faranen and the din of his havas. So what's the pshat? So the Rebbe says here. The Rebbe says a different word. Tak as mein amar. But there says that Kavana bezeh liyesh sheba'atzmos ein yeshayich lechalik in amar shebelishari inyanim lechein liyesh mein amar mein kol inyan sheba'atzmos. Now, I just want to bring up one point that the Rebbe is saying here. They're saying, what's air? Air is mein amar. What does it mean air mein amar? Not that the air is something which is similar to something else, which has similar tchunis to something else. Air mein amar is that the air is this galus hamakar. So since the fact that Atzmos is amar is not a separate aspect in him, detached to the fact that he's a Beira. In Atzmas, Alts Ein Inyan, Alts Ein Mahus. The fact that there's the fact that he's a Moir. There's the fact that he's a Beira. So Alts Emes. But all these Inyanim are Chad in Atzmas. Since the air reflects the fact that his galus of the fact that Atzmas is a Moir, since the Moir, which the way it is in Atzmas, is one with the other Inyan. The Mele, since air mein Moir, the air contains everything. We're not saying that air contains everything because air is not the gather of air is not the way air is lamata, which stems from the fact that the makir is a moir, but air lamaila is not because the Eibush is not mugul, mele shtei begida. Air mein moir, since the moir shabatzmus is chad with all other qualities, so the air is the moir, it's the Eibush's the element of moir shabay, being open, being bizgalas. That's air. The fact that the Eibush is a moir. The makir, the fact that he has the quality of a makir being bizgalas. That's what air is. This galas hamar shabay. Since this mar is not limited to being dafka mar, he's also a beira. The mele and air, which is the reflection of his mar, is faran ali inyan. Then vidam adavar hazeh.
That's not the shit of the Ratzin that should be.
No, why should it be stir? Air mein amar, and the mar shabbos is kelan. It's not a stir to air mein amar. Air stems from the fact that he's a mar. The fact that he's a mar, he's a mar is a mar which is not which is chad with beira. We're not saying in the Poel Altzbert is Gal in air. Helim Ali and Yanam which exist in the Kuss are they say they're the air they're in this Gal in air. The Mitzias, there's a musik of Helim, let's say. The Eibishter hides himself. Factually, there's Helim, it's Begili. I mean, there's the Atzmas is Helim, it's beyond Gili, but there's a Mishem Elikim which is Begili. That's also air. That's the fact that it's Begili is through air. Everything comes Bizgalus through air. So the Chayy going to say, so air inyani is not inyani, so the Chayy going to say, air doesn't stem from the fact that the makar is begili. Air stems from it, but even that aspect of the makar which is not gili, that's also nizgal in air. That means that air inyani is not expressing the aspect of gili of the makar. Air is chlal, just everything which exists should be open, not the aspect of gili. The Rebbe says nisha. So air is neveir from the fact, the aspect of gili which exists in the makar. Since the aspect of gili which is in the makar is chad with other inyanim, so air, which is a window to the Moir Shabbatzmas, the Mela hatten zechal. Because the Moir Shabbatzmas hatten zechal.
So it's not communal.
What do you mean it's enough communal?
If it's inside the Ratzin, inside the fact
But Safka Sav, the air is Safka Sav Neveh, not mitzad the Etzam, mitzad the fact that the Makir is in the Tnu of Gilu. We're never going to leave that. That the air, the Metzias air expresses, in Yani of air is Moir. Since the Moir is Chad, the air is going to contain other Inyanim, but that's not his Inyan, it's not his Metzias. His Metzias is air is Me'in Amor, air is Gilei Amor. Since the Mokir Racht Alts, not that Inyani is not Mor, Inyani is Mor, but mainly his Metzias is Gili, Inyani is Gili. And that's Inyani Atzmi. Since the Mor Shabbat Atzmus is not limited, Dafka Mor, but mainly is Altsfaran. But it's not going to change what's Inyani of what air is. We'll see the Nafkamina is always going to bring Kama Pratim. Huh? Good, that's a Nachaini, that the Mor Shabbat Atzmus is not a, say by a person, that's I'm verstehen, but I don't know if you go into every single practice, then it's not. But I'm saying that they say the simple, when you get a personal marshal, you say, I was saying before, you say the shemesh has the inyan of mar. Why does the shemesh, or the nefesh contains this quality of mar? The chayis and nefesh is not limited to be dafka na'efin of etzim, it could also be begila. Why is it that the inyan of chayis, that nefesh contains the mile of mar? Because the gabi in of chayis, mar is a mile. Bleak vul is an inyan, the gabi that inyan. The fact that atzmus is a mar, because the gabi atzmus, bleak vul is a virtue, it's an inyan. It's not an inyan. You say, he's the makkah for everything. There's no inyan. But could you say that there's a certain inyan which he doesn't have? The fact that Eibush is a mar is because he's Amitis Ein Sof, not because a mar is an inyan. So that Ein Sof which is a mar is also a beir. The fact that he's a mar is not because he's shaykhs to the tzir of mar, because they're hot out. But maybe that mar is okay. That's not chayim.
That's why you can't say it's only.
You can't be mavdil.
One thing.
Yeah, because the mar, yeah. That verstehen what's the beat to the poil. That we'll see in the. Yeah, no, I'm saying it's it's in Yanim that huh? Not Versace. it's better to speak in Yana Mugdar, things that you could actually process as a bissel vague, versus a bissel nicht das. Macht der Edelmann schlafen ein bisschen. It's a little bit vague in Yana. I don't know, intellectual. Let me get a bissel weiter. Da was rein trachten mit dem. Oh, let me see. Let's see again. Let's say that there's one aspect of him which we said that Bleakville is an Indian. And there's another aspect in Atmos. You say a person. You have a higher element that mitzad that Indian he's seichel. You say different parts of the nefesh. From a deeper element, seichel is an Indian. Mitzad the lower aspect in the nefesh, keich hamayis is Indian. So that aspect of him, which keich haseichel stems from that aspect, midas doesn't come from. That's what we're going to say, right? You see when you get to a person. The keich haseichel comes from the fact that there's a certain edelkeit in the nefesh, and the keich hahilach comes from the fact that he also is able to relate to lower. Does it come from the same aspect? Are you going to say that seichel and hilach come from the same aspect in the nefesh? So it's not shaykh to say that Atzmos, the fact that he has the Gilui Shabai, that he's a Moir, that's from one aspect in him, because it relates to the idea of Gilui. And the fact that he's a Bayr is another aspect. Atzmos is not Mukbul. I mean to say himself. From the same aspect, mitzad the fact that he's Neis Hakal. So he's Saya Moir and Saya Bayr. The Moir stems from the same Nekuda of Bayr. So there's no Chalkos between them. So the Moir Sheba Atzmos is not detached. It's not an Ini B'fnei Atzmi outside of the other qualities that exist in Atzmos. Because he's Atzmos, he has everything. The same Nekuda which is Mechayev, the Nekuda Moir, is Mechayev, the Nekuda Sabayr. So in Azaif, in the Ur, what's the Ur? Reflecting the Moir. Since the Moir is not a Moir which is a Moir because he's Mugbal to that series. Because he's Ein Sof, he's B'meila also a Moir. So that Moir is not going to be detached from the fact that he's a Bayr. Be'el and Er is going to be the other Yanim also. This is important. Means what's the Metzias of Er? What's his Er Megal? Er in Yani is Gili the aspect of an aspect which is a Moir. Er stems from that aspect, and that's what Er is Megal. The fact that you have other inyanim in Er, they're hidden there. It's not connected to the Metzias Er. Yeah. Okay, understand. Oh, so this is when you get there. So with the Rebbe's mafli here, the musik of Er is Gili Amakar. This is another important. From Vana, what's important for the Hemshech Advarim is the mile of Er is that there's no other Metzias. It's the Makar. And it's the Makar Neifen of Gili Amakar. The Makar being his Gala. But from welcher Tnu and the Makar stammt from the Makar, the way the Makar shaycht in Gili. Not the way the Makar is mufshit from the Gili. The whole musik of Er is his Galas HaMakar. So what is it? It's the Makar being Begili. So what does Er contain? From Vana stammt from the Makar, the way it's connected to the Tnu Sagili. That's
what it is, or that's where it's from?
That's where it's from. So Er only relates not to the Atzmi Samakar, to the way the Makar relates to the already a musik to being Nizgala. Not to the way the Makar is Ba'atzmi. That's going to be the Chisaron of Er, the Mile of Shem. Good. Omnam Inyan Hashem, there are 6 now in the Moshe. Inyan Hashem, hu Pchinas Hel. Ich wollte sagen, as a verse, but you get a lot of inyanim like this, certain things, it's medarv sich a bissl reintrachten in them. It's not a question of a little talk takes care of the issue. Medarv a bissl reintrachten sich. It's not so the certain things. The talk is just being me'ered them ein a little bit. Just medarv sich reintrachten them. That was when you get to that. Lamer zen weiter a bissl. Oh no, in Hashem ubchinas hel. Shame is the opposite. Shame is not the Makar Natnu of Gilui, but the Makar, the way the Makar is Ba'atzmi, not a Natnu of Gilui. So me vidim adavar hazeh. Lamer zeh. So the Rebbe starts, this is Pashat Er Lamata. Shem Elam, Hagam, you say a person's name, a person has a name. Hagam shonu yedim shashem b'chinas achayis. The Pel steht in Chassidus that the name, through the name is nimshat achayis. But the fact that through a person, the parents give the kid a name, so the nefesh of the ben is nimshach through these isis. But Ava Bekain, in the name is not nikr any shaykhs to the Mahusa nefesh. which it's its name. Someone's name is, or even a table is shulchan. You have any mohus of the shulchan that's mizbate begili in the name reflects somehow something of the nature of the table. You can't tell anything in the name of the mohus of the table. Hagan, there's not stam achitzein is gezach. The name is the mokar achayis of the mitzvah of the table, but it's not nikr in the name. The name doesn't reflect the mohus of what's behind the name. So the mahus which is behind the name is nelam. It's behalten in the Eisiyas Hashem. Not like which the whole tune of is the makar being begin. In the is there's two products to remember. The is the zgalas makar. The reflects the makar. He mirrors it. He reflects the makar, and what that's the mile of and what aspect in the makar is the sibur for the fact that the makar is not tune of zgalas. The fact that the makar is a mile. That's what the Rebbe is bringing out for. So Shema, so first Rebbe starts speaking to get the Shem. First of all, the name doesn't reflect the one which is the carrier of this name. Even though there's a real contact between them. And the Chayis comes, but L'Poel, the name, you can't recognize from the name, the makar, the thing which it's the name of. So the makar is not reflected in this thing. And the maskana is going to be, but the etzim, the way, but the Shem is shaykh to the etzim, not in a way is in a tnu of Gilui. To the etzim, the way he is Batzmoseh. That's the mile of Shem over it. That's going to be the Tunos Advarim. In Hashem Knesam, the Gamshin Hashem Knesam Chayis, Mekom in Chayis Misgala De Hashem. Hein, Gam Hashem is Shloshna Kedesh Hashem is a scheme. Real names, not stam names in English or other languages, which Amal the Rebbe says in the Maamarim that is also Bajgal Protis. But upon him, the Alter Rebbe in Tanya Hashem Shloshna Kedesh is not stam names because we have to choose. It's real names. Shayachim Umeidem Al Shershim. And there's holy mudim in Kabbalah, how the Eisius of Evan have to do with the Mahus, the Chayis of Evan. But that's B'Yurim in Kabbalah. But if you look at the letter Aleph, Beis, and Nun, you're not going to see any connection to a stone and not connection to the Sherish of a stone. We all know the letters Aleph, Beis, and Nun. We have no idea the Sherish Makar of an Evan. What's it all about? We know the word Sher, but we have no idea how the letters Shin Vav Reish relate to Pnei Sherish of Merkava, which is the Sherish of the Sher Lamata. We have no idea, even though it's true that it's Shaykh and it's made al Sherish, but Mirzan is the Shaykh. Adam Rishon, he knew the secret of Merkava. He knew the secret how the Aces reflect the Makar. But this is all Sinyanim Ne'lomim. This is a special Chacham. It's not begin. It's not the Kasher. The Shiyad, the Shesher, the Shesher of Merkava, and the Shara and the Yeah, famous Shaila. What was the big Chacham that other Avisher wanted to show all the Malachim there and how smart Adam Rishon was? He told them that he should give names to all them. What's the greatest Chacham to give names? The fact to be able to see the Sherish, to be able to see which Aces reflect the Sherish, it's a ganze Chacham. Hashem is and he calls Zeu Behel. That's what I'm saying. It's Behel. Hashem in Megal Klal, ve'in Nikar Klal Hashem. His other Rishon's Chachma was something he knew the secret, but the shame doesn't reveal it. The name itself, the Aces Hashem doesn't bring it out. Exactly. Yes, we already know before. Hashem is calling him Kfi Sharsham, and Yechedom Leidas Chilik Yesher Nevram Chilik Yishmeseim. There's something that the Rebbe said. It means it could only la'achri we know. You say in a mashal, you say some imitzer zakta drasha. Someone which has no seichel and he's going to hear a drasha. He'll be able to hear the words, but he's not going to hear the seichel which is behind the words. You could have someone that has a very good memory there. He has no idea the language that the people, the dervis ret. He'll be able to chazer over what he said if he has a very good memory. He doesn't understand what he said. If you understand seichel, you already know this language and you understand seichel, then you're going to be able to, from hearing, you'll be able to understand. So why do you understand what the person is saying from what he's saying? Because the words contain it themselves. When you hear these words, these sounds, and these havaris, brings you to the Indian, or because you have a shaykhs Indian before. So Adam Rishon knew the makar not because the Aisius expressed the makar. He knew the makar, so he was able to see it within the Aisius. But if you look at the Aisius itself, it doesn't bring you to the Indian. Aisius are hell. The shame is hell. Oh. This lashon, I don't know, it's interesting because I think it's a Maamarim Ata Echad Tafshin Beis, maybe more places, but the Frierdiker Rebbe says there that he brings there this word that the shame is Helen, and he says I Adam Rishon Epes knew the Sherish. So he says that's when you get to the shame kloli of the min, but when you get to shame prati, there's no heker. I think that's the nusach the way it says. There it says a little different. That even when you get to the shemus hamin, Adam Rishon only was able to tell the makar because he already had earlier information from the Aces Gufa Vatanish Guvust. Okay, but good. So we begin with the Shema Prodish Shel Kol Adam, Shashem Lefeif and Achai Shabi. Because about was the Torah Pirish Nefesh Chai Ushmei, Shashem Hu Mechaber Nefesh Baguf. So you have the Nefesh itself, Taka has no names, but what connects the Nefesh to the Guf is the name that it has. Means his slapshus of the Nefesh in the Guf goes through these aces. Someone's name is Chveis Yecheskel Darten, so through these aces is the Chibur of his Nefesh of his Guf. That's easy this. The aces of Yecheskel. Kayetz was every person in their personal name. But it's Behelim V'Ninikar Klai. You see the name David, you're going to be able to tell what type of Nefesh it is. And in what form his connection to his body is. There's no... Shalachin Yeshem Kamari Adam Shishmisem Shab. Why? Shibekulam Ho Eise Asherish Gevor B'Sifrei Kabbalah. Mikom Kim Chalukim Heim, Leirak Binyanim Chitzein. Elegam Binyanim Ikriyim. What do you want to bring out? That the name is not going to express this unique person. This person is totally different. The Sherish Darton is the same Sherish with the different people, and the way the Sherish expresses itself in the Guf is different, and the name doesn't express that at all. But they have the same name. Oh, so Zeh Hepesh Min the Eir Hu Gili. And the touches up. Husha Eir Atzmi Hu Mein Amar, the Gamba Dover Amur Mimenu Hu Begili Kinal. Mashek and Hashem Hu Hel. It means that the name doesn't reflect the Makar. So. And that means that it doesn't stem from the aspect of the makar being begilui. That's not where the name stems from. We'll see later. Shalachai sheba Hashem hu behelim. Bein legabe hadover hanikra b'Hashem, u'bein legabe adam hakeres hadover b'Hashem. Although as we speak about a person, him calling someone else with his name, say the name doesn't reflect the makar, and say someone else which knows my name is not going to have any kiruv to the adam which is behind the name. Oh, omnam yishmayim b'Hashem aler. Ini mamshech ze'etzim. And this connected what we were saying before, because what's Eir? Eir is Neveh Mitzad the Makar being in a Truma Vesgalus, not as Etzem Mahos. And Eir is not Mamshech the Makar. Ash'egen Hashem Mamshech es Etzem. Where do we see that? Sharei Kshekeiden La'odam B'Shmei Hu Nifne Leirek B'Nad V'Chitzeinim L'gam B'chol Atzmosei. When a person's name touches him in a very deep place, touches his Etzem Mahos. If you call someone's name, you awaken him himself. His etzem you awaken. That only a name has. You're going to call. There says here in the next name. There says in the next name that if you chap a person by his seichel, you only chap his seichel, not his etzem. Mashiach, if you call a person's name, the rest eman aleim. It's here or it's in the next name. In Shigedink does. Maybe the next name. But the next name. Yeah. It's here. Not here. Well, there was okay. It's not here. Can't say that it's just not that the name touches me, that the name is in a very, very deep place. The name doesn't mean anything to me. People made a decision that we made a heskim, that when you say this and this name David, I'm going to turn to you. Not that the name affects something in me. There was this nishta say. The reason why when someone calls someone else by his name, he turns to him is because the name touches something very deep in a person. The name moves the etzem. It's ma'ir the etzem. Mashik and er is not ma'ir the etzem. The makar is begili. The makar is begili doesn't touch him. He's not affected by the fact that he's begili. It says, where's the lie? The means that the conscious part of the nefesh is not available. So all the escaping that he made doesn't exist. If someone wake me up at 6 o'clock and chas v'shalom, there was this alpha. So you can say because we made up, it's not going to work. But an ada she'eni meila az leirek achilu ash'sia legam refuah eni meilas. Kol gim sholeshim le'shmei ba'oznim amshichem eschayusay. Santa zach. Harei she'Hashem lekeach der nemt u'me'erer es ha'etzem l'mayli yesek amin in refuah. Zeo Milas, this is in Pashin the Moshel. Zeo Milas Hashem ala er. Hashem is not. It's not just the ha'ara. It's not the makar being reflected. It's moving him. Sinem ter etzem alein. Yeah. Kim sheyeshnim is etzem. In the name, rish the under etzem. Yeah. So as a bechitzenish, you're going to say that the contains within itself much more of the makar than the name, because it's the gizgalus hamakar. He's projecting himself. He's bizgalus. But his Hinyani Atzmi is not expressed, you don't have in the Inyan Agili. You have the Inyan Agili Shabbat, you have the fact that he's open and he's visible. But his Inyan is not the fact that he's visible. His Etzem Mahos, you have Dafka in his name relates to his Etzem Mahos, more than the Inyan Agili Shabbat. Inyan Agili Shabbat is his Gili. Nish does the name to Etzem Alein. The Etzem Alein is invested more in the name. Even though Mitzad Gilui, the name does not reflect him, but in the Etzem HaMakir is not connected to his reflection. The Etzem HaMakir is connected to Dartim where he's not being reflected. That relates more to the Etzem. Doesn't Balzen. He says like this. It says in Kabbalah that side of Hamnuna and side the Rashbi and side Moshe Rabbeinu, they're all the same neshama. Why do they have three different names? If they're all the nitzos of Nishas Moshe, even more than Chinas nitzos. So why do we call them Kenikah b'Shem Hamnuna, Shimon, V'lei b'Shem Moshe? If they're all nitzutzes of Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama, for us Hamzeh Allah Fashid Nenem. So the Teretz says, "V'hu lefi she'inyan Hashem Hashem mechaber esachayis maguf mezayin guf." Means the neshama itself, the way it's not related to a guf, has no name. The name is mitzad slapshus of the neshama in a guf. So Rashbi's guf and Moshe's guf and Rabbi Nuna's three different bodies. The shame is on the contact of this nefesh with this guf. That's why each name is different. So the Rebbe is speaking from here. This could be taken as a raya, so to speak. But I think it's more than that. As raya could be the Chassidish state that says that once they were learning in the Idra, and the Yonavi didn't come. So why didn't he come? Because he went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar. He went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar. So the Shaila is, it says, Chassidus, every bris, El Yonavi is in a couple of places at the same time. Why when he went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar, he couldn't be by the Idra, he couldn't learn with the Chavraya? It says that in order to help Rav Hamnuna Savar, you have to be mislapish in a guf. And a slapshus in a guf, your etzem has to be there. His core has to be there. He can't be mischalik. If it's nitzas of his, he's not malubish in a guf, it's his nitzas. He doesn't have to, his etzem is not connected to where he is. That's a ha'ara of his. There could be a common makemis. Masha'ika, when there's slapshus in guf, they're nem der etzem. So, but it's not stam as a raya. A raya that shame another raya. We've already about a raya before, the fact that when a person faints, the shame, the name has a deep effect on his core, on his etzem. Another raya that the names have to do with the slapshus and guf, and we know that the slapshus and guf is connected to the etzem. The Rebbe doesn't mention here the most of the slapshus and guf, but it sounds like that's a shtickle beer. Means azevot megazagt. Where do you have the more his galus on neshama? Where do you have more the nefesh's inyan? So the nefesh's inyan b'shas the neshama leicht. The way is lamayla in a guf. The Alter says in Tanya that Av Yira the neshama, the way it's lamayla, is shalei be'erech to how much the neshama is nergish in guf. The guf is not a keli. But the gili of the Av Yira achin flying, that doesn't express the atzmius of the neshama. Even though it's more beis galus. That's the makar beis galus. The atzmius hotman in the fact that he's able to affect the guf. The fact that the neshama is able to affect his in a guf, even though it's shalei be'erech lower than the way the neshama is beis galus. But the fact that his inyan is able to affect something detached of him, that's more da harsh to sein etzem. Vu hatman the etzem, the fact that he's able to affect something which is distant from him, which is detached of him. Azasar zar. So the fact that shame relates to etzem is connected to the fact that the name is made on the nefesh being miskasher with the guf. That's the beer. Means the his galus you have more who is mufshit from guf. But the etzem husa elyin, which is higher than gilui, does hotman in the fact that he's present even where it's not big. I'm not saying right. I'm not saying exactly right. You see what the Rebbe is saying here? In Hashem lekeach the net the says. I was talking a bit better than me. A little the hezbollah could be that Eir is neveh from the fact. You see, Eir reflects the makir. But the makir, the way the makir is beyond any inyan at all. The atzmis inyan, which is the fact that he's not limited to any inyan at all. That you have dafke and aisis which don't express any teichen. In aisis Hashem which don't express a certain teichen of the nefesh. There you have the etzem which is not limited to dafka a certain teichen v'inyan. Him himself, which is beyond a certain teichen v'inyan. Even call him, that was a bissel, but you get the general gist of the Indian. So upon him, what's the hemshech advarim? The Rebbe, we will the masber sein the Indian of Kech, the mile of Kech. In the Kech and the Nefesh, we don't see this. We see the aspect of Helen which exists in shame that we see in Kech also, and even more than shame. Name, even though it's Helen, but what is a name? It's a way to relate to a person. It's his name. Kech, we're going to see, is totally detached. It's affecting something else, not his name. In his name, it relates to him. It's just you can't tell the mocker in the name, but the name is not him affecting something outside of it. It's his name, just the inyan chitzeni in him. You can't. The contact of the person to their name is not a visible contact, but it's contact, it's connection. It's his name. In Kayach, it's not about him b'chlal. It's about him affecting the stone. We'll see later the prat. So the aspect of Helen, which is in Kayach, is much lower. But the same way we understand, in Shem we see the mile of that Helen is connected to the Etzim, that we see in Shem. And from that we learn the Gabi Kayach. The same way in the Gabi Shem, even though in the Asius, there's no Gili of the Maggid. There's nothing from the character of the person that's expressed in the Asius Hashem. But Dafka the Asius, even though there's no expression of him, they relate to his Etzim, to his core. Al derech like about Kayach, we're going to understand. Varaya, that b'shas you call a person's name, Nifna l'kayre b'shmai, the same thing as the Gabi Kayach. Even though Kayach is detached and we don't see any connection to the Nefesh, he's not revealed through the Kayach, but Dafka in the Kayach has to the Etzim Alei. So the aspect, in order to explain, the Rebbe wants to explain the mile of Kayach, but Nafir Maktan and the mile from Shem. From Shem we'll understand that the fact that the Teichen Elyon is not Meir in the Indian which comes from him, so b'chitzenis it's a lower darga. But Dafka where the Teichen is not begilui, Darten liegt der Etzem. So wir verstehen also the Gabi Kayach the same. That's the Agdama l'chora. I'm saying what I think everybody could say pshat. I'm saying what I think could be the mahalach here.
Does that have anything to do with chayas?
Chayas necessarily. No, it would have been chayas.
And the fact that it's able to
no, the fact that the name connects the nefesh to a guf. So on one is it's in chitzeni connecting the nefesh to a guf. Say the nefesh having an impact on a guf is that touches the etzem nefesh more than the inagil.
You're saying the fact that that's touching it with chayas is that?
No, chveisish. That's the hadgosh. I don't think that's the hadgosh. Do Edom learn the Maamarim? What's the story? You learned this? Okay, so you'll have a couple of days. We'll try Sunday to medafresh azif kratzen. So, Both. So good. But we have also Maamarim Kemis here. I think that's kedai to look at a Maamar. I think the ace is there. The last sif of the Maamar of Ata Echad Tafshin Beis about shame. I think it's because if Hidgar makes the fact that shame is nifshal kaira about smusay, how it's an Indian klali that Helen relates to that, and that's Dagdam. He doesn't. That's Dagdam to understand kayach. You hear what I'm saying? There's this more the nekuda we want to bring out a certain general teichen with the musik of shame. That vu hat med der etzem not in inyanim which beteichen hagoli you see him. There where teichen where there is no teichen goli. That relates to that. As it doesn't touch the rest. So I'm saying the word that we want to bring out with shame a general nekuda that darten was a zesach the gilei nefesh. It's connected to that and that you have a little bit. I think there's aces there. Ken zayin. It's good. There might sign here a sichel could sichel to zayin. Darten steht tegen das word. I think I don't remember exactly what it says there, but chelik to zayin. Word mit zayin mit zayin in Hashem a mile shel halam. First steht dort nimmst du geguckt. Chelik to zayin. Anybody looked at what it says there? But that doesn't say what it says. I think I'll